Hi everybody, good morning. Well, at least good morning from beautiful Malaysia, and hi and good evening to everyone overseas. How are you all doing? Did you have a good week? I had a good week. Yeah, it was awesome actually. We had a nice
Hi everybody,
birthday
good morning.
celebration. Jamie
Well, at
tells
least good
me
morning
she
from
had
beautiful Malaysia.
tons of messages, birthday
and
greetings.
good evening to everyone
So sweet of you all overseas.
Yeah.
How are you all doing?
Yeah. Hi, Koki.
Did you have a good week? I
Good
had a
to
good
see
week. Yeah, it
So
was
listen,
awesome
I
actually.
love today's
We had a nice
lesson.
Hi
If
everybody,
you're
good
following
morning. On the
Jamie
calendar,
tells
at least
me
good morning
she
had
had,
for A Course in
yeah,
Miracles.
tons of
messages,
along
birthday
with
greetings.
these,
I think lesson 121 overseas.
Yeah.
How you all
Which is
doing?
totally
Yeah.
all about
Hi, Koki.
forgiveness.
Did you have a good week?
But as you know,
I
we're
had a
doing
good
a
week.
review
Yeah,
of
it
all
was
the
awesome
lessons.
actually.
So our lesson
We
for
had a
today
nice
is
lesson
everybody
67
following
on the calendar.
says
At least good
love
morning
of
had
A
for A Course in Miracles.
like
Tons of
yourself.
messages,
Hi,
birthday
and
greetings.
peace.
I think
Everyone
lesson
overseas.
121
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Actually,
How you all
Koki,
doing?
thanks.
Yeah.
All
Hi,
about
Koki.
forgiveness.
It's a caftan.
But as you know, we're
I
doing
made
a
it.
review.
Yeah,
So
so
listen,
I got the
I
fabric
love
sewer
spotlight
lesson
today.
lesson
Everybody
67
following
on the
So I
calendar.
thought,
We
we
can't
can't
tell
tell
it's
it's
a
a
caftan.
caftan.
Kind of pretty.
Like
I think so.
messages, birthday greetings.
I think lesson 121
Oh, thank you. Actually,
How you all
Koki,
doing?
thanks.
Yeah.
All about
Hi, Koki.
forgiveness.
It's a caftan.
But as you know, we're...
Is it cutting out? Is the audio cutting out? Hi, Joan. Good to see you here. Yeah. Is it cutting out? Jamie's checking it right now. Yeah. So I was saying, should we just keep going there, Jamie?
Yeah, it's
The audio is scrambled.
scrambled. Said it's okay now. It could be our
Okay.
internet.
It might be the internet. Sorry, guys. Yeah, sometimes. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. So, anyway. Okay. So, today's lesson is lesson 67. Love created me like itself. What does that really mean? I think we can unpack that in a way that we can make it really practical, along with chapter 9, the acceptance of reality. And what does that really mean? I mean, the Course in Miracles is it's so simple, it feels so difficult. It seems difficult to understand, doesn't it? A lot of people say, I don't get that. What is that? Reality. Let's make it super, super practical today, okay? I think that'd be great. Okay, so I'm going to start by telling you a few stories. And stories are always awesome because they're relatable. And yeah, I woke up this morning thinking, oh, I know, this morning I'm going to begin with something that I've never said out loud to a group, but I did say it at Jamie's birthday party the other night. We were talking about personal power, losing our power, you know, people having power over you, all that type of thing. And I thought, this is so perfect. It's just right in alignment with our lesson and with the reading from chapter 9. So I was talking to the girls about being a child when I was a little girl. And I was in grade 5, I think it was, at the time. So you're about 9 or 10. And it was during the time where they switched, the educational system switched from old math to new math. Does anyone remember that? Well, I don't know about you, but when they switched to the new math, I was so lost. I couldn't get it. And they always say, you know, it's not that you couldn't get it, it's that the teacher was a poor teacher. Whatever the case, I didn't get it. Anyway, in grade 5, my sister sat in front of me. And so the teacher this one particular day asked a math question, and I didn't have the answer, and I was panicked, and I was sitting beside my sister, behind her, and she didn't get it either. So the teacher made her stand up, and in those days you had to stand up when you gave an answer. So she stood up and she couldn't get it, and the teacher just started, you know, calling her names and berating her and belittling her and shaming her, and she started to cry. And of course, I'm her sister, and I'm feeling like I want to come to her rescue. And at the same time, I'm feeling like, oh no, I hope he doesn't ask me because I don't know the answer either. But anyway, so my sister was crying, and then he told her to sit down, and then he made me stand up. Now he's asking me. And I totally didn't have the answer. Same thing. I didn't cry though. I was going to fight back those tears. So I didn't cry, but I didn't have the answer. Well, when you're 9 or 10, you know, in our childhood, we give our power to authority, right? Or we're really rebellious. But in this classroom, and that would have been what, in the 60s, 61, maybe 60, no, 64, something like that, 63. Anyway, you didn't yell, speak back. You didn't buck the teachers. You just went along. And so anyway, he told me to sit down. And then he continued on in the class, but then he told my sister and I to go to the back of the class. And he had this box, and it was full of paraphernalia like dunce hat and dresses and baby bonnets and soothers and just all kinds of things. And this teacher made me put on this long dress, made my sister put on a baby bonnet and a soother in her mouth. And then he gave me this cue card that had a song on it that happened to be a commercial on TV at the time. And it's funny now that I say it because obviously I've healed it. But at the time it was devastating. And the song was, I wish I was an Oscar Mayer wiener. Yeah. For Canadians would remember it. I don't know if they ever played it here, but it was a big song. So I had to walk around the classroom, my sister with her baby bonnet on and a soother in her mouth, and I had to walk around singing, I wish I was an Oscar Mayer wiener with a dunce hat on my head. Okay, but here's the thing. Something deep inside of me knew that that teacher was crazy, nasty, and there was something wrong with him. But my training and my programming told me that I couldn't do anything about it, that I had to follow him because he's older, he's my teacher, so he has authority over me. Can you relate to this story? I'm sure you have a story in your own life where you felt powerless, but yet at the same time, you knew that you weren't powerless. There was something magnificent in you, but you just felt afraid to stand in your truth. Do you ever have that? You might even be dealing with that now. Yeah, okay. So that ended. And then a few weeks after that, it was time for public speaking. And remember when you had to write speeches in school? So I wrote a speech, and the speech was about dolls. And so my teacher said, you know, after school tonight, Deanne, I want you to come to my office and we'll go over your speech. There's a few things we need to discuss. And you know what? I had this feeling in my gut. I felt really afraid that that's not going to be a good thing to go to his office. So, but he's my teacher, no choice. So after school, I went to his office. And the funny thing is, on that day, I had brought a goldfish to school for show and tell. It was in a goldfish bowl, my little goldfish. And so I had to go to his office. So I picked up my little goldfish bowl with the fish in it, and off I went to his office. And he was sitting down in his chair, and he looked at me and he said, come here. And I had this feeling, oh no, there's something wrong with this. It didn't feel right. But he's my teacher, and I'm powerless because I'm only 10 or 9. So I went around the desk, and I didn't sit on his lap as he called me to. I just stood there. And as I'm standing there, he starts to read the speech. And then at the same time, he puts his hand under my skirt and up my pants, up my underpants. Well, I don't know what took over. I think it was the part of me that was in God's mind. And I ran. But I didn't forget my goldfish. I grabbed the goldfish bowl and I ran out of that school so fast, and I ran home. So I had so much fear, and I was afraid of him from that day on. But even prior to that happening, I had a suspicion that this man was like an evil, right? But he was really nice. He was so charming, and he was really friendly. But there was something deep in me that told me this man was evil. Don't trust him. But I was only 10. What did I know? Because here's the thing, we are intuitive beings, but we don't trust it because the programming tells you that people in power are the ones that know. Your programming tells you that authority is right and your intuition or your gut feeling is not. Can you relate? Yeah. Okay, so let's fast forward. That story stuck with me, and especially the one about me running out of his office with my goldfish bowl like a million miles an hour. I ran home and the water was swishing, and I got home and the fish had just a little bit of water in it. And of course, back then, you dare not tell your parents, right? No way, man. Not then. So I just kept it to myself, but it made something well up in me that I thought, no way, no way. Something came up in me that said, you have the right to be who you are. You have the right to stand in your truth. I mean, it wasn't said in that way, but as an adult today, and in me expressing this to you, it was about, I have the right to live according to my truth and to stand in my truth regardless. So later on in my life, there was another incident. There was many, but this was another one where I was in grade 12 and I was taking a class, political science, and why I took it, I'll never know. I think I needed the credit, yeah. But anyway, the teacher that we had was very abusive. But he wasn't abusive to those who conformed. He was not abusive to anyone who gave their power to him. You know those kind of people? And maybe you're a person that gives your power away. And maybe not to a teacher, but maybe it's to a parent, a friend, someone that you think has more power or clout than you. You give them your power. So this teacher, one day, he said to me, Deanna, you have to write the exam. Now in Canada, we were always told, you have to write the exam or you don't have to write the exam, whatever. And I said, yeah, I know I have to write the exam. And I was thinking, okay, I know where this is going, because I'm going to back up with the story. One day in the classroom, he came up to me and he put his hand down the back of my blouse. And I took his hand and said, Mr. I won't say names. Please don't do that. Don't do that to me again. Well, that just set the tone for how our relationship was going to go. Can you feel that? And it was because I didn't conform. It was because I didn't agree. It was because I was sitting in my truth and I was doing what felt right for me. And I knew then I was going to have to stand in the fire of that. You can relate this to so many things, especially with what's going on our planet today. Are you willing to stand for truth? Are you willing to live a righteous life? Because like I was talking to my daughter the other day and she said, Mom, oh my God, what's right is looked at as wrong and what's wrong is looked at as right. And as Jesus says in the Course in Miracles, it's upside down thinking. It is insane. All right, so now we go ahead in the story. So he tells me I have to write the exam. And I said, I know. And he said, well, this girl, I won't say names, I'll call her Sally. So Sally tells me you have never asked for her notebook. And I said, well, no, because I have my own notes. And he said, well, you're nothing but a Mongolian idiot. And your notes have nothing in it. of any value. And I said, but you wouldn't know what's in my notebook, sir, because you've never collected them. Well, that did it, right? He went crazy and started calling me names and stupid and you're an idiot and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, something welled up in me and I closed my book and I got up, and as he's saying, you don't dare leave this class, I left the classroom. And this power in me that is not of myself, it was a power greater than me, was guiding me to stand in my truth. Not make him wrong and bad, not make him into an idiot, not because he was that, but because I, as God created me, have the right to stand in my truth and to stand up for my truth and to defend truth. And listen, guys, when you defend truth, which is the God in you, you will be guided. You will be taken care of. When you defend nothing else but truth, you will be taken care of. I was defending truth. I am a sovereign being. I have the right to be who I am and to stand in dignity with God in my heart, right? And to the school, to a system, that's wrong behavior. That's being a bad girl. That's not following a system. But in God's world, in the Spirit's world, that's following truth. That's following and being sovereign. That's saying, lesson 67, love created me like itself. There is no opposites in that. That doesn't mean I'm a Mongolian idiot, as he was calling me. Because love has no opposites. I went down to the principal's office and I said to him, to the principal, how long has this teacher been at the school? I said, this teacher should not be teaching. He's abusive, he's mean, he's angry, he's drunk. And I'm going to call my father. And the principal did everything he could to convince me not to call my father. But I called my father. And my dad came to the school. Long story short, we went to the school board and reported him because it was the right thing to do. But when you do the right thing, do you get a hero biscuit? No, not in this world. When you do the right thing, from the heart speaking to you, are people going to put you high and tell you how fabulous you are if they're supporting a system that's based on lies? No. But here's the thing. Are you willing to stand in the fire? I wasn't popular after that at all. No. In fact, people, and kids can be cruel in high school, right? I had people in high school, even friends, so-called friends, saying, big baby, what's the matter? Can't take it? What's the matter? Right? Making what's not good behavior, good behavior. It's okay to tell a student and to yell and to belittle and berate. That's okay. It's not okay if you stand for truth, right? So I went back. The school board recommended that my father and I go back to the office and call the teacher down to the office and talk to him. So he came down and we talked to him, and he did apologize. And but years later, I was done school that year. That was my final year, and I never saw him again. But Jamie's father at the time ran into that man many years later, and that teacher asked Jamie's father, oh, what are you up to now? And what's new in your life? And he told him, he said, I'm married, have a couple kids. And the teacher said, oh, who did you marry? And he said, Deanna Aiken. And he said, the teacher, he said, man, I didn't like what she did to me, but I'll tell you one thing. I have a hell of a lot of respect for her. Truth will always prevail. That's my point. And I went through standing in the fire with that because friends turned from me. They called me names. They didn't like what I did. They hated the fact, called me big baby. But something in me gave me power. I was able to rise above the battleground. As it says in the Course in Miracles, I could rise above the environment I was in because of truth. It was so strong. The will of God in me was so strong. That's what saw me through. And I did not care. I don't need friends. I need freedom to be me, what God created. Can you feel that? And that is a felt experience when God is in you, when the Spirit is in you, and you are allowing that Spirit to guide you. You will go to the stake like Joan of Arc. You will do whatever you have to do, but you will not be touched by the environment you're in. You will not be touched by those in authority. You will not be touched because truth will prevail. The truth in you is like you have an auric field around you, like a bug zapper that's just blasting away these negative remarks and attacks on you. They mean nothing to you when you stand with God, as God, for God. I'm telling you. So these were the stories that I was thinking about. It was Friday night that we had our little dinner party for Jamie's birthday, and sharing these stories. And stories are so wonderful, you know, because they really help us to see the patterns of dysfunction coming from the program, and to see the glory of the grace of God as we stand in truth. I mean, seriously. And you know, I remember being in school after that, after going to the office and blah, 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 and walking around the hallways, and kids like giving me the evil eye and yelling remarks at me. And really, you know, I was alone, but I wasn't alone. I felt so empowered inside my soul. This is soul time, guys. This is about the soul. Yeah. And there was one teacher, I remember walking into his class, and he looked at me and he said, "Is it true what I hear?" And inside I thought, okay, here we go. And I said, "It's true." And he said, "Yes." So there are always those that are standing on the same line, the same side of the line as you are, you know, and you will magnetize, they will come to you, they will support you. Absolutely. Can you relate that to the world that we're in now? I mean, what's right has been made wrong. What's wrong has been made right. And that is due to the program that we've been, oh my God, living under for our entire life. So I think these lessons are so profound. Each one is a profound lesson, but today, love created me like itself. That means I am like God. I am. I have the power in me. There are no opposites, nothing. There is nothing outside of love. You are not the embodiment of being a bad girl or a bad boy. You are none of that. You are what God created. Full stop. But you know, on this timeline, we can use time to heal our mind, can't we? We can go back in time, and you can look at all of those incidences, those moments. Thank you, Doreen. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I love to share stories, and you know, when girls get together for a little gathering, we like to share stories. And I thought, oh, hey, perfect, I'll share them with you too. Because I as I was telling the girls, I was feeling the empowerment that I felt at the time all over again, because the mind of God, the mind in you that's one with the Spirit in God, there's no time and space. Like, only love is real, right? And truth is love, and self-empowerment is love. And I remember feeling that as I shared the story. So you're most welcome. Yeah. So on this timeline, if you go back and you think of times in your life where you felt very empowered because you were standing in your truth and you were standing up for yourself. Do you remember those times? Do you have any? and just collect them all. You know, when you do a shamanic journey with a shaman, they will take you on your timeline and they will have you collect the false images of yourself, let's say, those images where you felt small and insignificant and unacknowledged and you just felt like a nobody. But somewhere inside of you, you knew that you were a somebody. You know those moments like the story I told you when the teacher made me walk around the room singing, "I wish it was an Oscar Mayer wiener." Something inside of me knew I wasn't that. Something inside of me knew I was amazing and powerful and beyond anything that this teacher could ever do to me. But I didn't have the strength of will yet. I still feared authority at 10. Who doesn't? But thank God that something came into me that gave me that strength of will, right? So if you go back on your timeline, be your own shaman and go back on your timeline and collect first all the wonderful self-images you have where you were brave. You have any stories about bravery? And this is like serious work, guys, because this is what the Course in Miracles is telling us. You cannot go to the next level with fear. You can't walk into the next room in your life, so to speak, in your mind, that's going to offer you everything with fear. You have to look at the fear. This is a process of going from darkness to light. It's not a process of just go, boom, I'm in the light. You have to go through the darkness to the light. And so when you get back on that timeline, you look and you see where you felt small. Who took your power away? And why did you give it? Maybe it was your father. Maybe it was your mother, your aunt. Maybe you had a friend who made fun of you and you just kind of thought, oh, well, that's what friends do. No, friends don't do that. Do you know what I'm saying? You go back and you see these times in your life where you were made small, you were made to feel like you were a nothing. Maybe it was a husband, an ex-husband. Maybe it was an ex-husband or a current husband or partner or wife. Doesn't matter. Maybe a daughter making you feel small, making you feel like you were a bad mother, making you feel like, and you believed it, you took it on because you forgot you were doing the best you could at the time. And then you collect all the stories on your timeline of where you were amazing. You know, those times when you were really courageous. Like my story, I was courageous. Where did that courage come from? Not from me. It's coming from a higher power. Definitely. Oh yeah. You collect the stories of where you felt beautiful or handsome. Collect the stories. Go back on that timeline and remember. Memory is powerful because your memory can put you in hell by remembering the stories of being diminished by another human being, made small by another human being. Those memories can put you in hell, can't they? And if you recall them right now, some of those stories, they put you right in hell because the mind does not know time and space. Whatever you think, you feel immediately. And where are you in your mind right now? Are you in hell? Because your emotions are reflecting where you are in your mind. And how you feel emotionally is a reflection of where you are. Are you in hell in your mind? And everything that you're reacting to today is the result of the memory that you have failed to give to the Holy Spirit. The sad memory, the memory where you didn't have courage, the memory where you were made small, the memory where you were not acknowledged, the memory where you were not validated. All those memories where someone outside of you took your power. And of course, we know in the end, there is no one outside of you. But I'm making this really practical. We're going on the timeline. We're looking at linear time and your stories, those intervals on that timeline that really impacted your life. And you have not accepted those false images of yourself, so you can give them to the Holy Spirit for a reinterpretation, that you saw yourself not as what God created, but as the opposite of what God created. Do you have any of those stories? Collect them. Collect them all. It would be so good just to sit down and go back as far as you can remember and collect those stories of sadness and grief and anxiety and all the people that did it to you. We're just putting it on the timeline for the sake of understanding. And then we give all of those stories. We turn them over. We give them to Spirit. Because as a child, there's a misperception there because of the programming, right? And some kids, I mean, you're seeing kids now, let me tell you, they're coming in on different rays of light. They're coming in under different planetary energies, and they are powerful. That's why you can't control these kids, because they know they have the right to be. And they are evolving. They're taking what they learned from us and going to the next level. They're going into the next room fearless, right? It's just amazing. In fact, it's said in astrology, I'm going to sidetrack here, I know you love it. In astrology, there's going to be 3 waves of kids coming in over the next 2,000 years. And there'll be the wave of the Neptune kids coming in on the planetary rays of Neptune. And these kids are the artists and the singers and the artists, the poetry writers, and you know, everything about, they love the earth, and they're unconditional in their loving. And they're here to be that unconditional love. And we can feel, we call them the rainbow kids, or, you know, these peacemakers. These are kids coming in on the Neptune energy. And then there will be kids coming in on the Uranus energy. And these are the geniuses. And these little geniuses will be the ones to figure out that artificial intelligence is dangerous unless it's in the hands of peacemakers and lovers of life. And they will change the status quo because they are geniuses for God. And then we have the Pluto kids. They will be coming in on the Pluto energy, and these will be the kids that can use magic. These will be the kids that are the magicians, that they can bend a spoon or move. They're here now, but you're going to see more and more and more. And these will be in 700-year increments, according to the masters. You're going to see these types of kids. So things are changing. Everything is changing. It always has been. But the kids that we're dealing with now, that you can't control them. They're about evolution. And for you, where you have been, you know, pushed down, your sovereignty made wrong. It's still being made wrong. Listen, fear or love, dark or light, those are the only 2 choices. And the reptiles and the demons are in the world of darkness. And unless you are in possession of your own willpower, which is in alignment with God's will, if you are not claiming God's will, then your mind will be possessed by demons. Your mind will be possessed by reptiles. I'm not kidding. You must learn to be in alignment with God's will. We all have to do that. And that's this, you know, beautiful lesson, or in the chapter, let me get it here, chapter 9, the acceptance of reality. And that first sentence says, fear of the will of God is one of the strangest beliefs the human mind has ever made. The will of God is the truth in you. It is your sovereign power. It is the love in you. It is everything in you. And we are afraid of it. We're afraid of it. We're actually afraid of the part of our mind that can choose the will of God. Yeah. So anyway, let's go back on that timeline. So you're back there and you are gathering up the stories of disempowerment and you're turning those over. You're giving those to the Spirit. And every place in your story where you gave your power away because of fear or because of I'm small and you're big, every place where you gave your power away, find the opposite of what you were afraid of and claim that. Make a new memory. It's like reprogramming the brain, which is like a computer. Reprogram the brain. Collect the good stories. Collect where you were brave, where you were happy, where you were elated, where you did something that made you feel on top of the world. Collect these stories and make a new memory of who you are, which is love created me like itself. That is what's true. I am sustained by the love of God. That is what's true. I'm telling you, we need to do this in these times because the demons, the devil, if you will, is out in full force to grab you by the throat. Hi, Susan Bates, I love you. Oh, you're most welcome. Yeah, please, we need, listen, we're miracle workers, but first you have to look at all of that darkness. You just have to do it. Go on that timeline, collect it, get out a journal, write those memories. Hi, Kathy Ventura, I love you too. Seeing major traumas to heal the past, all the way back into utero. Absolutely. Many memories and false beliefs to release into God's hands for integration, interpretation, reinterpretation, right? In our story, in our programming, and your mom's program, your dad's, your grandma's, grandpa's, way back, generations since time began, you were programmed to believe that you are the opposite of what God made. You are a genius, you are brilliant, you are beautiful, you are everything that God is. And you were trained to think the opposite. You were trained, you were programmed to believe it. And this lesson today is telling us God created me like itself. There is no opposite. These lessons are deep, 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 deep. Practically speaking, it means to go back on that timeline, go all the way, as Kathy says, and gather up your beautiful memories of self-empowerment, your beautiful memories of courage and strength. Look at those stories in your life where you were so strong. Did anyone tell you? You're so strong. I'm so proud of you. You're absolutely amazing. Not likely, unless they're on your side of the line. Do you know what I'm saying? Because people in darkness want to diminish you. People in darkness want to suck your power. That's what reptiles do. They suck your energy so they can feel bigger. Don't let anyone take your energy. Don't let anyone take your power. Come on. You are created out of God, out of love. You are love. God created me like itself, without an opposite. You have to go on the timeline. You just have to. Make up a new memory. Reprogram your computer brain. It's been programmed to think everything opposite from God. And you are creating your reality by how you think. There's no excuses. I'm sorry. There is no excuse. You are what God made. There's no excuse unless you give your power away willingly. Oh my goodness. Use time to heal your mind. That's what Jesus says. That's what time is for, to heal your mind. Get your journal out. Half of the journal dedicated to the rotten stories, right? The so-called rotten stories, the bad ones. And just see how those people outside of you sucked your energy. Make no mistake, your mother sucked your energy. Your father sucked your energy. You get what I'm saying, right? I mean, parents do what they do because, but the nasty, you know, the nasty, they were sucking your energy because they don't know who they are either. And people that don't know who they are, I love you, Kogi. Yes, yes. People that don't know who they are will suck your energy so they can feel big. Do not give it. But don't give it. Don't say they're a bunch of a-holes. You know what I'm saying? Don't say I'm not doing this because they're all idiots. Now you're part of the problem. Don't go there. Do it because love created you like itself. You don't have to defend anything but truth. Defend truth. Love created me like itself. Love created me whole. Love created me perfect. I don't have to defend anything else. I don't have to defend why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't have to, and we do that, right? It's like, well, I'm sorry, I'm only saying this because, I don't mean to hurt you. Defend nothing. Defend only truth. I am standing in my sovereign self, defending truth. God created me like itself. I am sustained by the love of God. There are no opposites to that, and that's what I'm standing for. And I am willing to stand in your so-called fire because truth will protect me. Truth will guide me. Truth will lead me home. I'm telling you, that is what's required today. So your journal, half of it, you gather up all the stories where these authority figures sucked you dry, like my teacher trying to suck me dry, and got away with it once, just once, thank God, but not twice, because I stood in my power at 10 years old. You will not do this to me. By the way, guys, years later, okay, here's the end of that story. Years later, I was running a business, and I had a customer come into the store, and I was getting her, her name and her particulars, and she said to me, I live in Wallaceburg, and at that time I lived in Windsor, so it was maybe two or 3 hour drive away. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm from Wallaceburg. I used to live there. She said, really? Where did you live? And I said, well, I lived on Dora Drive. And she said, oh my gosh, I just lived on St. Lawrence Avenue, just a few streets over. She said, did you go to Christ the King School? I said, I did. And she said, did you know Mr. I'll call him Fox, Mr. Fox. I said, I did. And she said, do you know he's in jail? I said, really? What? Truth prevailed. Truth prevailed. That man was raping people, and he got caught, and he was in jail. Yes, because people started to stand up, speak out, girls that he had been abusing, and he was in jail. And I thought, wow, there it is. Yeah, because after he pulled those shenanigans with me, I stayed clear of him. Mr. Fox, Mr. Foxy. I knew my intuitive radar was beeping away, and where he was near, I was far. Yes. So truth does prevail. So it doesn't matter, guys. Anything that happened to you on that timeline, anyone who tried to drain your energy and to make you small. It's almost like, when you achieve something in life, you'll notice people genuinely, most of the time, aren't happy for you on that side. Do you ever notice that? Because demons want to devour angels. When you are successful, you are standing for God. When you are confident, you are in God's power. When you are courageous, you are in God's power. When you are happy, you are in God's power. When you are joyous, you are in God's power. You get it? When you are using your intelligence, you are in God's power. When you are playing your instrument and you are amazing and singing out loud just because you want to sing, you are in God's power. And what is the other side doing? Making fun of you. Laughing at you, telling you you'll never amount to anything because you can't sing like Celine Dion, right? That's what demons do. That's what dark forces do. But who are you in truth? Do you know? Do you know that God created you like itself? And once you know that, you're unstoppable. If someone says, you can't sing, you say, don't listen. It doesn't matter. If they say, you're not as good as so-and-so, say, I really don't care. I don't care. I'm not doing this for you. You have no defense, really, because you're just doing it because you're happy. You're just singing because you like to sing. You're just drawing pictures because you like to draw. You might not be Picasso. You might not be Van Gogh, but you're you. And the Spirit is coming through you, and you're picking up your colored pencils and drawing what's in your heart. And then someone dare come along and tell you that's dumb. You colored outside the lines. You're not good enough. And you bought it. Go back to those stories and rewrite them. Yes, I did. I was good at what I did. And I gave you my power, and I'm taking it back. I'm taking it back. I hope you feel inspired, because I find this very inspiring. I feel inspired as I share this with you. Take your power back. Go on that timeline. And anybody that sucked you dry, you take it back. I am what God created. I am sustained by God. Love made me like itself. I am everything God is, regardless of what you say. And all that person was a projection, a false image of yourself. That's all that person was that you seemingly gave your power to, was a false image of yourself. Because remember, the made-up self, the false self, just projected a world of images. They're not real. When you think that you've separated from God, when you believe that you've separated from God, you project a world of false images as an attack on God. And then we call them mom and dad and teachers and this and that. You know, see me getting all riled up here? I'm not even swallowing right. Time for tea. Yeah. So I want you to go back and collect your greatest selves. Collect your great selves. There's so many great selves in you. So many wonderful yous. So many of them. Make a list and just hug yourself. Yes. And all those parts of you that you thought were so nasty, do the opposite and collect that. Take that. And the nasty parts that you think you were evil, you know, Jesus says in the Course in Miracles, you think you're the house or the home of evil incarnate. Give that to the Holy Spirit, and she'll tell you that, honey, you just misinterpreted yourself. You just misperceived yourself as the opposite of what God made. And I'm here to tell you that you are what God is. You are what God extended from its own mind. That's what you are. And just sit in that and have a felt experience of this oneness. And that's how you forgive. That's how you forgive the dream. That's what forgiveness is. Yes. Oh, you're being your own shaman today. Yeah. Yes. Oh, hi, Michael. So wonderful to see you. Yeah. Yeah. So here's, you know, from chapter 9, the acceptance of reality, the reality of knowing who you are as what God created, what God made so beautiful, so pure, so whole. So I want you to ask yourself right now, where am I in my mind right now? Because if I'm accepting the reality that God made me whole, perfect, and healed, I need to know where I'm at in my mind. Are you in hell? Are you making the world wrong? Are you making the world bad? Because listen, when you collect those parts of yourself on that timeline, you're not doing it to attack the people. You're just realizing that these are projections, false images of yourself projected as a parent. And if you give that power, it sucks you dry. It just sucks you dry. And you call it, Mom sucked me dry. Dad took all my power. These are just projections of a false image. So where are you in your mind? Hell or heaven? If you're in heaven, you are above the battleground. When you are in heaven, you are seeing above the environment that you're in. And if you are part of the environment you are in and you're fighting and arguing and screaming and yelling, where are you? You're in hell. Remember, your emotions reflect where you are in your mind, heaven or hell. And those emotions are going to say it all. Another question. Are you in possession of your own free will? What is free will? It's sovereignty. It's oneness with God. I am truth. And that's all I am. And truth is true, and nothing else is true. Are you in possession of your free will? And if you are not in possession of your free will, then your mind will be possessed by demons, by the false images that you project. Your mind will be possessed. And that's what we call possession. If I'm owning my power as a sovereign being of God, then I have nothing to worry about. And if we put it on a timeline, I put the chakras here. See number 3 chakra? That's your solar plexus. And that is the domain of self-will run riot. They say that in the 12-step program, right? Self-will run riot. You are not in possession of your own God will, which comes from speaking truth, 5th chakra. I am what God created. I am love. I am everything that God is. And now I'm in possession of God's will, self-will, with a capital S. If not, self-will is running riot. And that is the solar plexus. That's and in terms of astrology, that's Aries, guys. And we know right now that Chiron is in Aries until I think 2026. Then it'll move into Taurus. But it's in Aries right now, which is your self-image. And so, what do you see? Am I the embodiment of love? And do I know that? Am I demonstrating that? Or am I full of fear and self-hatred and making the world bad and wrong? The world is neutral. Remember that. God told us that. Jesus in the Course. Everything you see is neutral. The only meaning it has is the meaning you give it. So, are you in possession of your own free will? Free will is following the guidance within. Free will is listening to the truth speak to you. Yeah. And if you're not listening to truth speaking to you, you'll be depressed. You'll be sad. You'll be full of anxiety and stress and grief and self-hatred. You'll be competing with others. You'll be having jealousy and living in a scarcity consciousness. There's never enough, full of lack, worry. Okay. Are you afraid to be seen? Are you afraid to be seen for who you are as what God made? Just beautiful you, expressing from your soul. It's soul time. That's what time it is on the planet. It's soul time. Yeah. Not ego time. That's a dream of death. It's soul time, guys. Remember Soul Train? Get on the soul train. It's soul time now. You've got to claim sovereignty. I am what God made. I am accepting reality with a capital R, the real world. Are you afraid to live your truth? After having our little birthday dinner party, I wrote some of these questions down for today because I felt so inspired at the end of the day, at the end of our night. I thought, these will be good questions for us for our beautiful Course in Miracles gathering. So, are you afraid to live your truth? To be who you are, to shine your light the way God wants to shine through you. So beautiful, and it's so humbling, and it's so effortless. There's no strain, there's no forcing. It's just you being a channel, letting the Spirit come through you playing your guitar for God, loving for God, sharing for peace and God. God is peace. You know what I'm saying? Are you afraid to be a good person, which is a God person? Good comes from the word God. God comes from the word good. Are you afraid to be a righteous person? Standing for what's right. How many times have you not stood for what's right because you're afraid someone's not going to like it? Remember what I said in the beginning? Defend truth. That's the only thing you have to defend. Defend nothing else. Don't defend the vaccines. Don't defend the this. Don't defend the that. Don't defend the whatever's happening in the world. Defend truth. I am as God created me, without an opposite. Are you afraid to be that beautiful, righteous person? Ask yourself, and don't be like delusional, right? But really be honest about that. I can think of so many stories on my timeline, in my personal story, where I wanted to stand for truth, and I knew it was not a righteous act, like a self-righteous act, but it was really the right thing to do. And I watched that thing happen and wished I would have done differently. Afraid to stand and afraid to live a righteous life. Do you even know what inner strength is? Do you realize what inner strength is? This is so good. Inner strength is the God in you. God is confidence. Confidence is God. God is abundance. Abundance is God. And when you stand in that inner strength, then you are not afraid of God. You're not afraid of love. Because inner strength is love. And if you don't understand what inner strength is, then you've made God in your own image. A God, a dualistic God. A God that could punish you. A God that you say, well, this happened because I was bad. God did this. You know, and that people use that all the time with karma. It's like, well, it was their karma, you know. God is not a punishing God. God is love without an opposite. You are creating your world by how you think. That's all. Remember the first, what is it? As above, so below, the law of mentalism. And Baba talks about everything comes out of your mind. Jesus says it in the Course in Miracles. This you must come to know. All is mind. How you think is what you get. God has nothing to do with it. Inner strength is love, is God. Yeah, if you don't see your inner strength, then if you don't know your inner strength, then you know a God of duality, which scares you, and that makes you afraid of love. What else did I write here? If you don't see God as inner strength, if you don't see God as love in you, then you're going to hold false images of yourself. That's what you'll do. If you don't know that you are what God extended, you are created as love, then you're going to continue to hold these false images of yourself. And that's all they are, false images. Are you holding yourself back from growing because you're afraid of hurting someone? Is there anyone in your life that you are staying small for? You're afraid to grow. That's big. Yeah, and there's an old saying, grow or go. Grow or go. And sometimes you have to let go of those people, family members maybe, friends, doesn't matter. Not let go by pushing them away, but grow, move on, move on. Yeah, remember you're defending truth. And when you defend truth, following your inner guidance, that's what defending truth is. Inner guidance is personal to you. Remember, the Holy Spirit's curriculum is individualized. Not everyone's curriculum is the same. The goal is peace, but how you get there, that curriculum is individualized. It's personal to you, how you reach the goal. So no two people are going to get there or do it in the same way, right? But are you holding yourself back? Expect more of yourself. It's easy to be complacent and lazy. It's easy not to get up and exercise. And that's what it means to grow, to exercise, move forward, be strong. That's God in you. Oh my goodness, I can remember people in my life that I was afraid of letting go of. I was afraid to grow. I wanted to grow, but I was afraid I was going to hurt them. Until I hit the wall. I bottomed out. I couldn't do it anymore. Do you have any stories like that? Come on, people, I know you do. You bottom out and you just can't keep picking them up anymore. And it's not because you don't love them. In fact, it's because you love them that you move on. And maybe by you demonstrating love, maybe by you demonstrating courage, maybe by you demonstrating the inner strength in you, maybe by you demonstrating that you are what God made, they will wake up, because what you do for yourself, you do for the entire sonship. That's what we have to know. You're not doing it for you. It's not personal to you. It's for everybody when you grow. Get that. That's what Jesus is telling us. The great master who overcame death. He did it for the entire sonship. So everything you do is for the sonship. If you stay in a complacent, low vibrational frequency, you are helping no one. But the ego would have you believe that you are helping everyone because you're a people pleaser. No, I love you, but I gotta go. I grow or I go. I grow or I go. Yes. And you'll notice a lot of times, when you make a decision to grow, people around you, they may not come at first, but then they get their running shoes on and they're coming after you because you have something they want. I've had this personal experience. That is how I live my life. I have let go of so many things out of love to keep growing. And I love you, but I gotta go. And I'm here. If you want me, I'm here. And if I don't hear from you, it's okay. And how can I do that? Because of the inner strength. Following the guidance that said, Deanna, you've hit the wall. You've gone as far as you can go in this job. You've gone as far as you can go in this relationship. You've gone as far as you can go. It doesn't mean you need to hate them so you can move on. You need to kick your boss to the curb so you can get a new job. You need to, so you can, no. It means I'm going to grow within this, or I'm going to go. And I'm going to move on and evolve. Not because you're bad and wrong, but because the inner strength in me, the truth in me is saying, it's time for you to go to the next level, but you can't get to that next level with that fear. You can never get to the next level with fear. Can you relate? Yes. Wasn't easy, but I knew I had to take that step and grow. Absolutely. Yes, and I said this last week, I'll say it again, pain, growth, though painful, is worth seeking. It's never easy to grow. Well, there are times it's easy, okay. But usually you're going to get burned, right? Yeah. Remember, whatever you're holding in your heart, it influences your mind. If your heart is heavy, if your heart is closed, if your heart is just, you're weak-hearted, you're faint-hearted, whatever that saying goes, you get what I'm saying. It influences your mind. And I think that's why, when we go to Egypt, you see the beautiful, I know, Jamie's got her hands in the air like, oh, Egypt, beautiful Egypt. You see on many of the walls in Egypt, you see the story of the afterlife, which is so profound if you understand the deeper mysteries, the deeper teachings. And you see that when you cross over, you are guided by Anubis, the jackal-headed god. And he takes you into a room where there's Osiris, and there's Isis, there's all the different deities, the Netters. And they take your heart and they put it on a scale. And on the other side, they don't put your bank account. They don't put the big house you lived in. They put a feather. Which one weighs heavier or lighter? What's in your heart? What deep wounds are you still carrying in your heart? Live this life for the afterlife. Do you know what I'm saying? Which is every moment, really. Because Jesus said there is no death. Do you want your heart to be heavy and weighted down because you still have memories from a timeline that doesn't even exist? You have not embraced those false images of yourself? You have not used the timeline to heal your mind? Is that what you want? I mean, I don't. Oh my goodness. We can use time to heal. You want to go to the afterlife and Anubis is going to place your heart on the scale and the feather, and it's balanced. It's balanced because you have made nothing wrong. You have made nothing bad. You have lived a righteous life because you are creating the reality you want to live in, because you are choosing to think with the inner strength in you. You are choosing to live with God in your mind. This is, and to know then that, oh man, you are so taken care of and protected and guided and loved and cherished, and totally the opposite of what you believe now. And this is the whole Course in Miracles, taking you from darkness to light. It is having you look at the timeline and say, that has no power over me. And I am taking my power back. The truth in you. Yes. Ah, yes. Why, yep. Good job. That's about time. Take your power back. Absolutely. Make no one wrong, but just feel the strength, the inner strength coming, showering you when you take your power back and say to yourself, I am what God made, without an opposite. Yes. Good job. All right. Remember, the truth in you is trying to lead you back to the quantum world where everything is possible. Quantum world. Holographic quantum world of endless possibility in every single moment. That is what the truth in you is trying to do. Wow, I want that. I want that. I will fear nothing in the external world. I am afraid of nothing out here. Because the truth in me, in you, is leading us together to the quantum world of possibility that's available. Everything God is available right here, right now. Yep. How can you have fear? Oh, it's so amazing. What else did I put here? Are you actualizing your truth? Because what makes you strong is accepting truth first. God is, I am, all is well. God is, I am, all is well. Remember that? God is, I am, all is well. Sing it. God is, I am, all is well, all is well. God is, I am, all is well. That is a truth. Are you living your truth? God is in me. And in this role that I'm playing today, in this situation, I'm standing as truth. Because the truth is in me and it shall come through me. And all is well. All is well. Oh my God. Oh, can you feel that? I hope you can feel that. I can feel that as I say it. Okay. Tell yourself, I should be doing better for myself. What areas of your life are you failing yourself? You're failing yourself. You're doing it to you. We can't make excuses anymore. You are creating the world that you live in. No excuse. It's not because of her. It's not because of that. It's because you are choosing to be like a slave to the environment that you find yourself in. But if you live from the truth in you and go above that battleground, that truth will set you free. Jesus said, I am the way, the life, and the truth will set you free. The truth in you will set you free. But if you are not in possession of your willpower, your self-will with a capital S, then your mind is possessed by demons. Yeah. Okay. I think that's all I wrote down after our big party. Yeah. Let's see where we can go now. I'm taking bits and pieces from our lesson today. So what I wrote for the write-up for A Course in Miracles, it's lesson 67. Love created me like itself. And again, I'll say that means there's no opposites. So anything you tell yourself or you say about other people, you're in the demon world. Love created me like itself, full stop. That's all you'll see. And if you're not doing what you are being guided to do, no matter what it is, if you're not doing what you're being guided to do, the truth in you guiding you, then you are not in possession. You are not in control, if you will, of your will. And then self-will will run riot in your life. You'll try to make your life work, even though deep down you want something else. You're being guided to do something else. You'll be fighting this world because you're not in control of your self-will. I am what God made. I am everything that God created. You understand? Oh my goodness. The Holy Spirit in your right mind knows that you do not wholeheartedly believe this about yourself. You don't believe that you're what God made. You don't believe it wholeheartedly. Because if you did, you wouldn't be saying nasty things about yourself to yourself and to other people. You are what God made. It's just that, remember, you've been programmed. You were made small by people in authority over the period of your whole life on that timeline. So of course you don't believe that you're what God created wholeheartedly. That's why Jesus said you have to train your mind to do the opposite. That is why the ego, the made-up self, your false self, with its insane thought system, projected a world of hatred as an attack on God. You projected, when you don't believe you are what God made, when you don't believe that you are what God created and you've never left the mind of God, you are always there, the mind of God is in you and you are in the mind of God. If you don't believe that, then boom, bam, you're going to project a world of false images as an attack on God. And now your God is a big scary God. It's a God of duality. And if you're afraid of God to return to that love, you're afraid of everything, absolutely everything. You're just afraid of nothing, but to you it's everything. Self-will has run riot in your life for a long time, forcing your life, attacking people, demanding from others, being a victim. Poor me, I'm a victim. No excuse. Doesn't matter the situation you're in. It really doesn't. There are people sitting in jail, and they are absolutely amazing, powerful, beautiful. They have overcome the world. They have transcended fear. They are in a different place in their mind. They are in possession of their willpower, their self. But if you're not, then you are in attack mode and your mind is possessed. And you are hating and yelling and screaming and fighting and, you can fill in the rest. It's insane. Okay. Everyone must remember the will of God because ultimately everyone must recognize himself. Eventually you're going to recognize that you are what God made. You are the will of God in action. And the will of God is freedom. Freedom. Lift the veil to reveal truth. Oh, I better not grab that. Jamie's going to grab that for me because I love doing this visual.
So high tech.
So high tech here. This is the veil. This veil obscures the light of God in you. This is the veil that hides the light of the Christ in you. And this veil is a false image. This veil is the made up you, the made up me, with all its beliefs, all its stories from the timeline, the memories that you're still attached to, all the things that you've made real. Here it is. And we are being asked to lift the veil and reveal the face of Christ. Lift the veil and see the glorious light of a billion suns, greater than a billion suns, that's behind this veil. Yep, it's hiding your beautiful face of Christ. Okay, love created me like itself. I am love. I am light. I am. The fact that God is love does not require that you believe it, but it does require that you accept it. Oh, I accept it. That's the atonement. I accept the atonement for myself. I am what God made. I accept it. Christ is in me, and where he is, God must be, for Christ is part of him. Okay. Now we're going to go, I'll read lesson 67, and we'll just kind of break it down here. Today's idea, love created me like itself, lesson 67. Today's idea is a complete and accurate statement. Ooh, I like that. It's accurate, and there's nothing else to add on to it. Love created me like itself. It's an accurate statement of what you are. You are love. So in other words, God is love and so are you. This is why you are the light of the world. This is why God appointed you as the world's savior. Because in another part in the Course, the great Master Jesus says, how many people does it take to save the world? One. Because in truth, there's only one. And as you see your brother, you see yourself. And when you forgive your small self, when you forgive yourself for thinking that you are something other than what God made, you do that for the entire sonship, for the entire world. When you save yourself from the timeline of believing that the past has power over you, you do it for the entire world. Thus, where was I? This is why the Son of God looks to you for salvation. So every single person in this world, especially now, because we are facing a huge turning point in our timeline, if you will. As the precession of the equinox continues on and we move into the age of Aquarius, which is maybe 200 to 300 years away, but we're in the waves of the Aquarian energy, as I was speaking the other day. That was a big breathful. There's a new energy, an outpouring of energy coming in. And so, as this says, the Son of God looks to you for his salvation. And as we move into this new energy whereby we see that the water bearer has gathered up all the cosmic energy, all the celestial energy, all the power, the glory, the omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence of God, everything that God is, it's being poured, those waters of creation. You are pouring the waters of creation. And you can create your reality to be wonderful, led by truth. Because God has appointed you as the world's savior. So why would you want to attack your brother? Why would you want to attack? There's so many people afraid today. As we go into this Aquarian age, there is a breakdown of a system. Good, there needs to be. Something has to die for something to be born. But are you a part of the solution or part of the problem by screaming at people or making them wrong and attacking them? Or are you just gently standing for truth, as truth, for truth? Are you that in this new age? Not attacking anything, but defending truth. Pouring the waters of creation with the God power that's in you. It's very different. It's very different. Yeah. And so, you're the world's savior. Because as you save yourself from a from how you've perceived yourself. I thought I was an evil sinner. I thought I was a bad person. I thought I was guilty. I thought I was hateful. No, you see yourself differently. I am what God created. I am love, I am light, I am. There's nothing else in me. And I forgive those false images. I forgive everything I said about myself that was so hateful. I forgive, in other words, I give it to the Spirit so she can reinterpret everything for me. And that's how you can use time to heal. That's how you do your shamanic healing. Your experiences go back on that timeline. And give it all up and have the Spirit help you see. I did that because I forgot that I was love. I acted fearful because I forgot that I was love. I acted jealous because I forgot that I'm not deprived. I acted small because I forgot that God in me is big, therefore so am I. So I'm going to give you all these small things, all these nasties that I thought I was. I'm going to give them to you, and you're going to show me the other side of that, the opposite of that. Which is you are what God created. So you are a savior in this world. If you demonstrate love, if you demonstrate abundance, if you demonstrate goodness, just by showing up and being what God is, and being guided to, and you'll know what to say and when to say it. You won't be out there preaching. People hate preachers, especially now. They're a dime a dozen. They're on every street corner having a way for how you should live. No, you just are totally guided by the Spirit and demonstrating something very different. Wow. That is why the Son of God looks to you for salvation. So, that's why we look to Buddha. Beautiful Buddha. Which way do I lean? There, Buddha. We look to Buddhas. They're way showers. We look to Jesus. They're way showers. We look to Sai Baba, we look to Shirdi Baba, we look at these masters who have walked this path before us. They're way showers. But they can't do it for you. They've done it. Jesus said, "Be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. I've transcended death." Don't you want to follow a teacher who's transcended death? That's why the Son of God's going to look to you for salvation. Transcend death. Give up those dead thoughts in your mind. They're dead. They have no meaning. Those small, insignificant thoughts. He is saved by what you are. You are what God created. Love created me like itself. Another word for love is truth created me like itself. God created me like itself. So you, when you believe that, you are saved. And you are saving others by what you are. Okay. We will make every effort today to reach this truth about you and to realize fully, if only for a moment, that it is the truth. So, go for having a felt experience of I am what God created. Love created me like itself. Sit in that and really feel what that feels like. In the longer practice periods, we will think about your reality and its wholly unchanged and unchangeable nature. You can't change what God made. God made you perfect. You are complete. You can't change it. It's unchangeable. It has an unchangeable nature because God is. You can't change God. It's an unchangeable nature. And because you were made out of that, then you're an unchangeable nature too. And all the shenanigans that you're doing over here in the world of fear, in the seeming world of fear, it's changeable, isn't it? Today you're happy. Yesterday you were sad. Tomorrow you might be jealous. 5 minutes from now you might be angry. But God is a changeless nature within you. It's always the same. It's beautiful. We'll begin by repeating this truth about you and then spend a few minutes abiding or adding some relevant thoughts, such as, holiness created me holy. You're sacred. You're pure. You're just pure goodness. Holiness created me holy. Kindness created me kind. The greatest gift you give another person is kindness. A smile, a touch, a word. Kindness. And what have we done with kindness? We have made kindness wrong. We have made righteousness wrong. We're afraid to be kind. We're afraid to be righteous because we're not possessing our own self-willpower, and therefore we are possessed with demonic thoughts of cruelty toward others. Helpfulness created me helpful. We're afraid to be helpful. Oh, what if they think I'm taking advantage of them? What if they think I want... Do you see how crazy it is out there? Oh my goodness. Perfection created me perfect. Any attribute which is in accord with God as He defines Himself is appropriate for use. So God created me lovely, so I am lovely. God is lovely, so I am lovely. Just think of all these attributes that God would be. Make a list for yourself and just hug yourself and say, this is what I am. Yeah. We are trying today to undo your definition of God. Ooh. And I think that's a good one to sit and not the religious definition of God or the programmed definition of God, but get really, really honest with yourself. Sit down and ask yourself, Deanna, what is your definition of God? And get down and dirty with that and tell the truth, because that's what needs to be undone. Jesus tells us He's trying today to undo your definition of God and replace it with His own. That's why we're afraid of God. We're afraid to stand in our truth. If you knew that you were God, if you knew that God is everything, you would stand for truth without fear. You could walk into the fire and not be burned. But you're screaming and yelling and afraid because your definition of God is a dualistic God. That's why. Wow. We need to remember truth, big time. We're also trying to emphasize that you are part of His definition of Himself. God says, I am lovely, and you are part of that. God said, I am kind, and you are part of that. God said, I am perfection, and you are part of that. Why? Because you are a part of His definition of Himself, the Christ in you. Wow. The fear in you is constantly screaming at the ego to make sure that You never wake up to the love in you, to the presence of truth in you. It's constantly screaming at you and telling the ego, or the ego telling you, you'll never wake up to be anything. You think you're so good. You're not good. You're such a loser. And you listen. That is so crazy. And then we continue to hide in the ego's thought system because we're so afraid of God. When you're afraid of God, you're hiding in the ego's thought system, aren't you? Projecting that guilt and fear onto everybody else, hiding because you don't know the real God. The real God is pure love and truth, and it has no opposite. There's nothing else. But because you don't believe that, your God is a dualistic God, and now you're so scared. And so you're hiding that fear in the world, in the ego's thought system. You will continue to do that until you bottom out, until it's like, I am so sick and tired of being sick and tired. I need a new way. Wow. Pain. Why do we learn through pain? We always seem to. It's like the pain, then the bottoming out motivates us to say, there's got to be another way. And it's God's way. That's the only way. After you've gone over several such related thoughts, try to let all thoughts drop away for a brief preparatory interval. We're being prepared for something. And then try to reach past all your images and preconceptions about yourself to the truth in you, because you're living according to your own concepts of yourself. You have not accepted the atonement that you are what God made. So these concepts that you have of yourself come from the constructs in your mind that are based on the ego's thought system, that you're an evil person, but it disguises itself in goodness. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a shapeshifter. Yeah. But we're being asked by the Master to look past all images and preconceptions, all those concepts, look past them to the truth in you. I am what God created. And the guide in my right mind in God will tell me what to say, where to go, what to do. I don't have to worry. If I follow my guide, it's effortless. I'm not going to live by these concepts that are based on fear and separation. No. If love created you like itself, then this self, capital S, self, must be in you. You know what? Before you can really know who you are as the image and likeness of God, you have to get in touch with your darkness. You have to get in touch with the ego concepts in your mind. You can't just beam me up without facing the darkness and giving it over. You can't just pretend you're spiritually evolved when you have not dealt with the false images in your mind, meaning looked at them and turned them over. You can't. It is a process. It is a pathway of going from darkness to light. If we look at the chakras, you could say, it's from going from the root chakra, from the program, the fear, up through the sacral, the solar plexus, to the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. It's a pathway from darkness to light. And it's a requirement. You can't just go here. Even Jesus walked this. All the masters walked this. You have to look at your darkness. You have to get in touch with them. Even though this darkness is an illusion, we believe it. This darkness is an illusion, but you believe it's true. So you have to look at it. Okay. And somewhere in your mind, it is there for you to find, which is love. Love is in your mind, and it's there for you to find. I think it's all about, as Jesus said, looking past the false images and these false concepts the false images and concepts of yourself. Look past the appearances. Look, lift the veil and see the light of truth in you, and then you'll see it in everybody else. You may find it necessary to repeat the idea for today from time to time, to replace distracting thoughts. You have to learn to master your mind. You're far too lenient of mind wandering, as Jesus says. You have to take the reins of your mind. Don't let your thought, you have to be vigilant, seriously. You cannot let your guard down. Every time you have a stinking thinking thought, that's what they say in the 12-step program, stinking thinking. It's a fear-based thought. Do not entertain it for one split second. Replace it with God created me like itself. Love created me like itself. And give that fear to the Spirit. So we're going to have to, repeat this a few times throughout the day. Jesus says you might also find that this is not sufficient, and that you need to continue adding other thoughts related to the truth about yourself. Yet perhaps you will succeed in going past that and through the interval of thoughtlessness to the awareness of a blazing light in which you recognize yourself as love created you. Oh my goodness, that's that felt experience of oneness. And the blazing light that comes out of you, it's in your mind, and it blows your mind. And you actually feel that you are that love that God created. You are everything that God made. You are it. Be confident, Jesus says, that you will do much today to bring that awareness closer to your heart, to bring that awareness nearer, whether you feel you have succeeded or not. Wow. You can't do it just by being like positive statements, positive affirmations. I mean, you have to work with your thoughts and beliefs. An affirmation is not enough. You have to know the thoughts that you are, those thought patterns that you seem to entertain, and the beliefs that you seem to be holding on to about your health and about your relationships and about everything. You can affirm, I am good until the cows come home. But if you don't get to the root of it and look at those thought patterns that you're holding, the affirmation isn't going to work. It will be particularly helpful today to practice the idea for the day as often as you can. Yeah, love created me like itself. As often as you can. You need to hear the truth about yourself as frequently as possible because you were told otherwise for so long. For 65 years, you were told that you were to be seen and not heard. Did you ever get that one? For 50 years, you were told that you were not smart enough to do that. That's still on your timeline. For 30 years, you were told that because you have this illness, you will never amount to that. You can never do it with that illness. You could never do it with that circumstance. You could never be because of your situation. And you bought it. So you have to repeat this all day long. Love created me like itself. And that love in me is my guide. And I am in charge of my self-will because I am in possession of my self-will. So therefore, my mind is not filled with reptilian thoughts and I am not possessed with the devil. I have the goodness in me. God created me like itself. And with that God in me, it's quantum. We need to hear this truth all day long. Because your mind has been so preoccupied with false images of yourself, hasn't it? You have seen yourself as everything but what God made. And Jesus is saying, you got to practice. You got to train your mind and work and be vigilant for the Spirit. Because if you're not, those false images are like Pac-Man. They will devour you. 4 to 5 times an hour. Woo! I love Jesus's instructions. He's really clear about what it's going to take. He did this too, I'm sure. Right? In order to transcend death, you got to go from darkness to light. So 4 to 5 times an hour, and perhaps even more, he says. It would be most beneficial to remind yourself that love created you like itself. Hear the truth about yourself in this. Wow. Okay. Try to realize in the shorter practice periods that this is not your tiny solitary voice that tells you this. It's not the ego telling you this. This is the voice for God. Who is the voice for God? The Divine Mother, the Spirit, the divine Shekinah light in your right mind in God. She is the voice for God, and she's telling you, God created you like itself. Listen to me. Reminding you of your Father and yourself all day. She will do that. This is the voice of truth. Replacing everything that the ego tells you about yourself with the simple truth about the Son of God. You were created by love like itself. That is beautiful. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you to our Master. All right. Anything? Anybody get anything? Oh, it's 11:45 already. We didn't read the chapter. We didn't read it last week either. Okay. All right. Let's just touch on chapter 9 a bit. Okay. The acceptance of reality, the real world, where only truth abides. Where is that? It's not out there. It's in my mind. It's in my mind.
Looks like we've got a question.
Oh, we have a question.
Let me see. Okay.
What do you recommend we can do on this shadow work? Thank you, Waya. Beautiful. Okay, be your own shaman. Take yourself on a shamanic journey on your timeline. The timeline, go back as far as you can remember. And remember, we're programmed right from the womb in utero, but of course, not many of us remember being in utero. But go back as far as you can and recall, number one, recall those situations in your life where you were made small. You were made to feel bad. You were made to feel like a loser. You were made to feel like you are a nobody and a nothing. You were made to feel, and maybe something like that happened just yesterday. On your timeline, there are many, many stories where you were disempowered by people in authority. Your mother, your father, teachers at school, your religious leaders. Somebody made you feel small. Somebody made you feel bad about yourself. Somebody made you feel like you can't do it and you'll amount to nothing. Take note of all of those areas in your life. Write them down. This is deep inner work where you gave your power to these authority people. And it was only because you didn't know that you had the right to stand up. Because remember, everything in the unconscious, which is in your root chakra, those bottom 3 chakras, that is the well of sorrow. And that is holding on to a program. You were programmed to believe that you're a bad person. You were programmed to believe that you can only go so far in life. You were programmed to believe in death. You were programmed to believe in sickness. You were programmed to believe in disease. You were programmed to believe the opposite of what God is, right? So look at all of those stories. And you were this little child, and someone in authority said, you're bad. That was bad what you did. You're just a bad person. You're a bad girl. You're a bad boy. We were all told that, and you believed it. We have to collect all the stories. If you were going on a journey, a lot of people are going to South America to smoke ayahuasca. Not smoke, well, maybe smoke it, I don't know, to drink ayahuasca. This is the big thing going on. And ayahuasca is, it's called the vine of the mother. It's a drink that the shamans used for probably thousands of years. And when you drink this ayahuasca, you go on a journey with a shaman, and you go on your timeline and you collect the stories of your past. You don't need ayahuasca for that. Okay? You can be your own shaman, but you have to be willing not to be delusional about going on your timeline and going, well, I was not really this and I wasn't to tell the truth, and to write it down, and to say, wow, what is the opposite? I was told I was a bad person. What is the opposite of that? I am a good person. I was told that I was selfish. What is the opposite of selfish? Selfless. Because that's all that you are. You are selfless, you are good, you are beautiful, you are all okay, and you were told otherwise, and you believed it. So you need to collect these memories and reprogram your computer brain. The brain is a computer. It's just put all these programs in it, and you're running these programs. So you need to put in a new program, rewire the memory. Then you collect on your timeline, go back and collect all the beautiful stories about yourself. So you can sit and hug yourself and have the felt experience of, oh, I really am what God created, and feel that love and feel that preciousness of what you are, right? That's a good step. There's lots of other ways that we can do it, but today that's what comes to me to tell you. I hope that helps you. Yeah. Yeah, Kogi, I love that you love your life. What a journey. Oh, it is such a journey, isn't it? We learn so much and we grow, but I love that you love it all. Yeah, we love it all. Oh, that's beautiful. Ayahuasca available for purchase online. You're so cute. Actually, well, I don't know, but I know that, here's the thing. If you want to check this guy out, there's a Dr. Gabor Mate. He's a Canadian doctor, Gabormate. And he works with severely addicted people in Vancouver, Canada. And like he says, we don't want to be addicted, but there's some deep wound in the psyche of human beings that is caused, that keeps you, on that hamster wheel of chasing the drug or whatever it is that you're addicted to. So it's known that ayahuasca can heal, it's like 99% or 98%, it's a pretty high addiction. It can really, of course, you have to do the deeper psychological work, but it can really give you a good kickstart in helping you to heal. So they use ayahuasca for healing addiction. Yeah, but even that, listen, if you're a Course in Miracles student, here's what I'm going to tell you. Nothing outside of you has power over you, right? And, there are instances where we do maybe need something to help us through whatever, but ultimately it's the mind. Ultimately it's the mind. But ayahuasca it was used by the shamans to take you into, the quantum field as well. When we go to Peru, we've never done ayahuasca, by the way, in case you're wondering. But we've been asked, hey, you guys want to do ayahuasca? But no, we're high on life. We're high on the God inside, right? We're high on joy. We're high on knowing that we are what came out of God's magnificent self. So you don't need anything else. But there are times if you have a severely addicted person to an opioid, to something, to heroin, whatever, they do this drug because it gives them, as Dr. Gabor says, it gives them a soft, warm feeling like their mummy has wrapped them in a warm blanket and hugged them. Because why? We all want love. We all want love. And, oh, I could go on and on. But anyway, so yeah. So I don't know. You might want to check Lazada. I doubt it. But it's a journey. It's a journey to South America. Yeah. Okay. What else? Okay, we have a few minutes here. So that first line, as I said earlier, the fear of the will of God is one of the strangest beliefs the human mind has ever made, and you made it. It's not true, but you made God in your image. That's why you're afraid of the will of God, because your self-will is running riot, and the real will, which is free will at one with God's will, is not there in you. It's there, but you are operating out of the solar plexus, just self-will. Okay, so now God is scary to you. But it could not have occurred unless the mind were already profoundly split. So the mind is split. There's love and fear, but the spirit resides in your right mind in God. Okay? You are the decision maker. You're deciding between the spirit and the right mind in God, or you are deciding for fear. You cannot maintain two thought systems in your mind. You must choose one. When you choose love, you have rejected fear. When you choose fear, you have rejected love. That's it. Reality cannot threaten anything except illusions. And when you are addicted to the false images that you have projected, when you are addicted to the world you see, then you will reject reality, which is God. You will want to make this world so real to you. You will want to make what's going on in the world so real to you that you are no different than the shape-shifting demons that are running around. You are making the false real, the seeming false real, which is an impossibility. So reality will never threaten anything except illusions, since reality can only uphold truth. And that is why defend only truth, because that is what you are. Defend nothing else in this world. Stand for truth. Defend only truth. The very fact that the will of God, which is what you are, it's like God said, let there be light, and out you came. You are the spoken word. That is why the fifth chakra is, when you are in alignment, then this chakra is, I am what God created. I am the living word. I am the spoken word. I am the logos. Everything that God said, I am, and I'm speaking it from here, just by showing up as what God created. It is so beautiful. So the very fact that the will of God, which is what you are, is perceived as fearful, and you're afraid of the will of God because you're afraid to defend truth. You're afraid to stand in your sovereignty. You're afraid to stand as what God created. You're afraid to stand as a righteous person. You're afraid to stand for kindness. You're afraid to stand for goodness. This chakra, fifth dimensional, I am what God made. I am what God created. I am everything that God is. I am truth. I am abundance. I am health. I am life itself. I am love. If you don't do that, you'll be operating below the heart, which is in the solar plexus. And that's self-will. We're on riot. My way or the highway. You're going to do this. You guys are all going to follow me because what I say goes. It's controlled by power. It's controlled by money. It's controlled by sex. And it's controlled by separation. You and me against the world. Power, money, control, and sex. The special relationship that you have with the ego, projected. Okay? Woo! It is not then the will of God of which you are afraid of. You're afraid of your will. That's what that last sentence says. That is pretty deep. It is not then the will of God of which you are afraid, but yours. You're afraid of your own mind. You are not in possession of the will of God in you. You are self-will, running riot, operating below the heart for control over people, to dominate, for money, for power, for sex. Look at the world, the pedophilia, the craziness going on. Power, money, control, and sex. Self-will run riot. You're afraid of your own will because where are you abusing your will? Right? Instead of God's will, which is I am defending truth. I am everything that God is. I'm standing for righteousness and kindness and everything else. You're afraid of what you've done on that timeline because you made it real. That's why you need to go back and do your shaman journeying on the timeline. You're just afraid of your own power to choose God's will. Your will is not the ego's, and that is why the ego is against you. The ego hates you. The made-up self, which is the ego's thought system, hates your guts. It wants you, as Jesus says in the Course in Miracles, it'll chase you beyond the grave. But it doesn't want you dead. It just wants you miserable, and it doesn't want you to wake up to truth while you're in the body. So it does everything it can to make sure you never know yourself as the will of God. It hates you. Okay. What seems to be the fear of God is really the fear of your own reality. You're afraid of what you made. You made the world you're living in by how you think. The results you have in your life is because of how you think. And there's no excuses for it. How you think is what made it. You can't say it's because of her, because of that. It's because of how you think. That's it. And if you don't change your thinking, then you don't change your reality, which is in your mind too. Because there are people in jail, when they say reality, they're not meaning environment. There's people in jail, their environment has bars in front of them. But they've changed the reality. They are in the mind of God. They are with the Spirit in the mind of God. And there's peace. In jail. It is impossible to learn anything consistently in a state of panic. This is a state of panic. The world that you're defending, all of the stuff that you're defending in terms of the COVID, the vaccine, the coronavirus, what's going on, everything you're defending out here, it keeps you in a state of panic. How about defending truth? God is, I am. All is well. There is nothing else. What would happen to your life if you defended truth and nothing else? You would be in a different reality. If the purpose of this course is to help you remember what you are, and what are you? What God created. You are what came out of love. And if you believe that what you are is fearful, if you think that you are the embodiment of fear, then it must follow that you're not going to learn this course. Jesus told you right here, you're not going to learn it. Yet the reason for the course is because you don't know who you are. You don't know what you are. You are what God made. And you don't know that. That's why you need mind training. Whoa. Okay, I'll just read this last paragraph and then we'll be done. If you do not know what your reality is, why would you be so sure that it is fearful? The association of truth and fear, which would be highly artificial at most, is particularly inappropriate in the minds of those who do not know what truth is. I think I'll leave the rest because it gets deep here. Yeah. But I tell you, that was a fast 2 hours, wasn't it? It really was a fast 2 hours. Yeah. Okay. Oh, thank you, Susan Bates. That's beautiful. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. You're absolutely brilliant. I love all of you so much. And I really appreciate your light. I can see it through the camera lens, by the way. It's brilliant and gorgeous. We appreciate Jamie for all the work she's doing behind the scenes. Yep. And I'll be back for the new moon, and that's coming in 2 weeks. And of course, I think I'll do a little bit review on our astrology. We did an astrology course for a year. I'm going to go back and review a few things along with what's going on in the heavens on that particular day of the new moon, and a lot more. But anyway, it's always fun. So have a super week. I love you all. I'll see you soon, but not without sending you first a million hugs and kisses. Bye, everybody. Take wonderful care. See you soon.